behalf of the students and faculty at South Tattnall Middle School, we'd like to invite everybody today, and Dr. Williams, our superintendent, and Dr. Carl Waters, our assistant superintendent. Specifically, we'd like to welcome Superintendent Richard Woods and Ms. Paige Pushkin, who is the executive director of the Georgia Foundation for Public Education. We're going to do a quick presentation, kind of tell you a little bit about why we're here, how we got here, and then do a little, we're teachers, so we can't really let this opportunity go by without presenting it to you. And I called Ms. Pushkin a couple weeks ago. This is kind of new to us, so we were asking, what do we need to do? And she wasn't a whole lot of help because, I'm kidding, but she told us it went from anywhere from just a handshake to a full-blown presentation in front of a big audience, and food and no food. And so we found some middle ground with a little mini presentation and a thank you basket at the end. And so we're just going to share a little bit about our story. I was telling them before we got started that the room is a lot of the excitement behind the headsets, and it's kind of innovated from there and come a long way in a short period of time. So we've been looking for unique ways to reach our students. Things have changed a lot, and the kids, it's hard to get their attention sometimes. And so this room has become a collaborative environment where we're trying to put new things in front of them, and specifically with our literacy. So our SMART goal this year, one of them was to increase our number of students reading on grade level by 10%. And so we're looking for lots and lots of new ways to do that. And then today, in just a few minutes, we're going to share a math lesson that we did. So our 8th grade team is here today, our math department, and we're really proud of them. They are 27% above the state average on level 3 and 4 learners. So not only are they above the average, they're well above it. And so we're a tight-knit group here, and we work really, really well. And so they've done some unique things trying to build that literacy even within our math department. So in just a few minutes, we're going to share a math lesson with you and see how we're doing some of these neat cross-curricular activities.
And so they've been great at taking all the training that we provide with the literacy strategies and trying to think about how you can embed that in math. And I'm just personally so grateful because I'm an ELA teacher.
So Ms. Altman, I'm sorry, I didn't even introduce her. Ms. Altman's here today. She is actually a big part of all of this. She wrote a majority of the grant. We wrote it together. So very tech savvy this school is, and specifically Ms. Altman. So late at night I'd be at my house and she'd be at hers, and we're using a shared document trying to come up with the wording on exactly what we were trying to get across. And once again, Ms. Pushkin even asked for some clarification on it. And we were really adamant about how we think it's going to work. And so what we're trying to do is bridge these gaps that the students have. They're using virtual reality, they're using gaming, they're using all kinds of different tools. And so we're trying to bring that here with some of the tools that we already have in this innovation station. We are in the first year of a 3-year process of trying to become a STEM certified school. And so this isn't, we purposely didn't call it a STEM lab. It's not a STEM lab. We have another room that we use for our STEM students. This is truly an innovative place. So we do a lot of math lessons, science lessons. Once a month, our social studies and the ELA team come in here and do some cross-curricular activities. So trying to get the kids excited about it and really work towards bridging that gap and getting them excited about what they're learning.
Particularly because, we're in a rural area, and we do have a high percentage of our students on free or reduced lunch, when it was not free. And so we try to think about how can we bring the experience to them, because obviously they can't go. So we're trying to bridge that economic and geographic gaps with just our kids that may be from middle class, but they don't have the access as well.
So like she mentioned, one of the things that we're trying to get them experience with even our narrative writing and reading and writing is that a lot of times our kids don't have the opportunity to go and visit some of these other places, see the things, smell the things. And so we're trying to bring that to them here. And in a few minutes, you'll be able to see what they're able to experience with these headsets so they can write about it. I mean, they may not have visited it, but if we can put them in front of it, let them experience the space station or the Coliseum, and so that they get a lot different hands-on experience through the headsets then maybe they'll be able to recall that information when they go to put it down on paper and when they're reading it and they can experience it. So the teachers are really good about putting something in front of them, setting up a station and letting them move to it, let me experience it, and then let me come back and write it. So as an 8th grade ELA teacher, that's what they do. So the social studies teacher will come up here and teach a lesson about the American Revolution, and they're talking to them about it, and then they're going to come over here to a station and see an actual reenactment. And that was loaded into them, and then Miss Altman's over there walking through. What do you see? How do you interpret that? And then getting them to go and write about it.
They actually had to do research on battle formation during this time period, so they compared the experience to the actual research. So, but I wanted to just stress the connection between background knowledge and comprehension. So the kids come to us and they can read, write, they're decoding the words, but there's this issue sometimes with understanding. And that's because of a word deficit or an experience deficit. So that's really what we hope that these headsets can help us offset.
So, and we make sure it's purposeful for all the students. And so it's not, and once again, I'll reiterate that it's not a STEM lab. So the kids, like I said, the 8th grade, all of the 8th graders will be in here today. When we do the cross-curricular activity, all of the students will come in here throughout the day, and they'll come in here twice with the ELA department and with the social studies. So at a minimum, the kids will come in here and use the headsets, the space, twice a month, and in often cases even more. We have it designated on our Google Calendar where the teachers can sign out the room when the days it's not being used for the cross-curricular activities. So we're really excited about the kids who are coming really savvy with it. Like mentioned before we get started, we did partner up with the Glennville Bank and a local bank organization right here, and they were really excited about some of the things that we had going on. And these are obviously pretty expensive items, and so they sponsored one set of them, and they gave us 8. So about $3,300 will buy 8 of them. And then that's where the matching grant from the Rural Foundation that we're able to buy the second set of them to give us 16 of them, which still, even though it's not a full class set, we use them at stations and shared partner stuff, and so we're able to really still utilize them even in a set of 16.
And so we're really excited again about how the teachers have just really been enthusiastic about using it in their classrooms, because we wanted to emphasize those 2 things: experience and excitement. That's what we're trying to bring. So I just wanted to share some of the things we've already done since we've had them, to include an exploration of the Mayan civilization to create sensory language and writing. We also, as he mentioned, did the Revolutionary War battle sequence where they compared and contrasted actual research to the experience. And our math teachers today are taking a look at the space station so that they can calculate the volume of those. We also had our 6th grade come in and they did a simulation of flight. Actually, it was just a video still, but it was panoramic, 360. And so they were able to connect to a character experience, because frankly, a lot of our students will not ever get to experience that, what it's like to be on an airplane. And so finally, with our STEM initiative, we have our exploratory coming in, and so they were doing a STEM project and they were able to evaluate some bridge architecture so that they can think about their own design.
So not only do these have, this was really unique, and I was just showing our Superintendent, Dr. Williams, before you guys got started, and if we have time today, I'd love to show you that aspect of it too. So not only do we have the still shots, immersing ourselves underwater or at the Coliseum, there's videos in there as well, and there's built-in lessons, but there's also a ARC part of it where the experience actually pops up and turns it into a 3D model. So back there I have it set up where there's a skeleton that comes up out of the paper, a full human skeletal setup, so that you can spin it around and manipulate it so that you can see more in depth what you're actually viewing. So it turns things into 3D reality where they can look at it, whether it's a heart or a cell, get a little bit different experience, so it actually comes up out of the paper. And then, like I said, we'll show you in just a minute how within seconds we can push out different experiences to the headsets. And what makes these unique and what we're really excited about is a lot of times you'll see the virtual reality headsets where it's the goggles and you have to put your cell phone in there. We completely control everything that the kids see. So they can't be off task, because that's one of the things that you always have to worry about is what are they looking at in there? And I can't even tell, but what we can do is hook up the other computer and show you. So when we push it out and want them to look at something, we can see what they're looking at. We can see the little goggles going around and say, okay, let's concentrate back over here to the left, so we can see on the screen what they're viewing in their headsets, because it's truly 360. So they can be looking at the pyramids and somehow be looking at this guy over here taking a picture and not be concentrating on what we want them to talk about. So it's really unique. So and then you can set it up to where they can pick from a couple of different areas where if there's going to a station, but you completely control it through the portal of the headsets, and so you can push it out to certain headsets or you can push it out to all of them, and we'll show you that in just a second.
The teacher in me has to ask, does anybody know the reference dwelling possibility? Where does that come from? Emily Dickinson. Sorry, I just had to put my yellow plug in there.
All right, and like I said, the teachers and all of us can't help it, so we've got a little mini lesson. I'm going to ask the 8th grade teachers to come up real quick and kind of tell you a little bit about what you see in front of you.
Hi, my name is Beth Peary. I'm an 8th grade math teacher here in South Tattnall, and this is Michelle Miller. What we did was we just taught a lesson in a whole unit on calculating volume of three-dimensional shapes, cylinders, cones, and spheres. And we're at the end of our 9 weeks, and we were thinking, how can we culminate this project? And we had this article that I had from a couple of years ago about the space station, and it's on page 8. This article on page 8, it's called At Home in the Sky. So this morning, we brought everybody in and everybody sat down, and we had talked about a jot and go strategy during one of our grade level meetings where a teacher had presented this strategy on literacy. And so I thought, well, let's do this ACE writing activity. So every student had this paper, and we talked about some of the vocabulary that they may not know. Like in the article, one of the vocabulary words was cupola, and a lot of people don't know what that is, and so we talked about those vocabulary words, how cupola is a dome-shaped, a dome on top of a roof or a structure. And then we discussed the question that they would be focusing on, and you'll see on this worksheet that we created, discuss the function and purpose of the International Space Station. So I asked the students this morning before we started reading to think about that question as we read through the article. And so I took a few minutes and we read through this article together. And I kind of stopped along the way and discussed the article with them and discussed the different aspects of living in space and how they thought about it. And one of the things I noticed, it says, the International Space Station is called the ISS, and I was like, you guys have a different connotation for ISS. But we're referring to the International Space Station, so we kind of talked about that. And then after this article was finished, when we turned the page, there's the volume aspect of it.